Hey everyone, coming up next, RP Funding Center activities, sports, and other events with Mr. Scott Sloman, the Assistant Director. We also have college football to talk about, Kirk Talley from Warner Southern University, and we also have, wow, Scott Kelly, named famous here in Polk County for football, also the head coach, but only at Webber. Stick around for this edition of Sports Central. Hey everybody, welcome to Sports Central. I'm Mark Jackson, your host, along with Mr. Neal Duncan.
Sir? I was just waiting for bits of wisdom.
So this is a family show, so I have to make sure it stays that way. Well, and so it is just a delight to see you because Hank Longo isn't here, and we'll give him a break for a week and a couple weeks, I guess.
Yeah, no, he does a great job, but he was busy today, so your backup is here, and this first segment brought to us by Cleveland Heights Golf Course, a great partner of tourism and sports marketing.
Does that mean the ratings go up now?
Well, that's your call. That's
okay,
not my
well, not my call. That's what the citizens say. But anyway, you know, talking a little bit earlier, actually offset about some of the things that are going on here in Polk County and all good stuff, you know, and we're getting back to normal. There's no new normal. You know, every day is a new normal, for heaven's sakes. But right now, Neal, you know, you're the director of sports for Polk County, sports marketing. And we've seen a lot of events coming since the lockdown was let up, and very fortunate to have both indoor and outdoor sports. And we're going to talk about them both today. But the fact of the matter is the RP Funding Center is a hub of indoor sports, indoor, all sorts of indoor activities, arts and craft shows. I don't know, one coming up. We have the Lakeland Magic starting up their season here real soon, and just a plethora. That's a neat word. I just like that word.
That's a good word. That's a good word
kind
on
of a
a Friday.
Fancy word, yeah.
That's right.
But anyway.
Well, and even some outdoor, and we're going to talk to Scott Sloman, but even some outdoor activities utilizing some of the parking areas, so indoor and outdoor, to generate the plethora of events you spoke of.
I did that one time. It was a show on ESPN, and I don't know how it came into my brain, but it was hot and everything else, and I said plethora. And it's talking about national television. Hey, what a moron.
So, we got Scott Sloman here.
Scott, you can take some of the heat off of myself.
Don't want to get in the way.
Self-induced criticism and sarcasm. Great to have you on the show. And I know you guys have been so busy ensuring that the RP Funding Center is a safe place. And we're going to get to that. We actually have some special footage on some of the things they are doing here. We'll get to that in a minute. But I mentioned the craft fair, you know, and just all sorts of different events. So let's start out with a non-sports event and let us know what's happening and when it's happening, because I think it's happening
this weekend.
Tomorrow, this weekend, the 19th. Yeah, fantastic.
Oh, the reality is, since we've been able to open, we have been open. The RP Funding Center, we are open for business, and are doing so in a socially distanced way and then following all the guidelines that we've been set forth. So if there's a misnomer that we're closed, that's not the case. We are open, we're open for business, and that stems from our arena to our PAC to our convention space. So all of our venues are accessible and again open for business. We've, in the past couple of weeks, we've had a reptile show. Repticon was here 2 weeks ago, and then before that we had a fancy flea market in our meeting convention space. And this week we have Buckley's Arts and Crafts Show, which had been a longtime client of ours for many, many years and has come back to us on a return for this coming weekend, Saturday and Sunday, using our exhibit space. So again, we are open and we encourage everybody to come down. As you'll see in this video, we are practicing all the safe protocols required and that we feel comfortable. And we wouldn't, if we didn't feel comfortable, we wouldn't open and we wouldn't host events. So again, we are doing all that we can.
Well, before we get on to another subject, you know, you mentioned the video, and why don't we go to that, and we can really show them how safe it is and the practices that are in place, and make sure you bring your family, your friends, and whomever down for a great time, because it's always a good time at the RP Funding. Never had a bad time there, not once.
That's right.
You know, in 30-some years there. So anyway, let's roll the footage from the RP Funding Center. Let's see what they're doing to keep us all safe, as well as our guests. Here you go, everyone.
Hello and welcome to downtown Lakeland, Florida. My name is Tony Camarillo and I'm the Executive Director of the RP Funding Center. And we want you to know that the RP Funding Center is open for business. Due to the COVID-19 virus, the RP Funding Center has implemented guidelines for a safe and secure facility for our employees, clients, partners, and customers. Some of those guidelines to enter the facility include mandatory face masks and temperature checks, social distancing, and hand sanitation. Please be aware of all CDC signage around the facility. RP Funding Center employees must follow the rules of the CDC by doing temperature checks, wearing face masks, using social distancing, and washing or sanitizing hands while on duty. The RP Funding Center goes through several stages of cleaning, including daily cleaning, pre-event and post-event cleaning. These steps will provide a clean and safe environment for the event and its guests. We will continue to monitor and adhere to the guidelines from the state of Florida, the city of Lakeland, and the CDC. All of these protocols are in place for a safe experience at the RP Funding Center. We are excited for you to host your next event at the RP Funding Center.
2, 1.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back once again.
Yeah, quick video, but important video.
Oh, very, very, very important. And Neal, you know, we have Scott Sloman with us, Assistant Director at the RP Funding Center and the architect of many of the exciting events that go on there. And Scott, we've had a little discussion about the Buckler Arts and Craft Fair, longtime client of yours, and that's coming up September 19th, which is tomorrow, if you're wondering. And one of my favorite events. Doesn't take place inside the facility, but outside the facility. Eddie Varillo's Lakeland VW Classic, which is the largest in the country. And it's right there in your parking lot. And they have like, I don't know, 1,000 cars or something that they show off. And it is unreal.
We're very fortunate. Eddie's been a long-time client of ours, and we love having him. And as you said, it is one of the largest VW events in the country. Anything and everything you ever wanted to know or need about a VW is there, from the Beetles to the Bugs to the camper vans. It's a good time. A good time's had by all. He's got music, he's got food, he's got entertainment, and he's got the Beatles. I mean, literally, he's got the Beatles. What more can one ask?
Yeah, it's a great event, and we were talking about the list of events, and of course, just over your shoulder there's a listing. The PGTV crew has got all those events listed. But before we get too far down the road, what's a website folks can go to find out what you're doing for their safety when they come to the RP Funding Center, and a list of events there at the RP Funding Center?
Our website, www.rpfundingcenter.com, is our website. You can try us on Facebook, on Twitter, and Instagram. There isn't any way you can't get in touch with us if you're given a reasonable effort. You can even call us at the switchboard at the 8100 number to reach us. And all of our COVID information, all of our event information is listed on all those sources I just mentioned.
Wow. You know, and there's a lot coming up. There's a lot of people think, well, there's really nothing going on. There's a ton of stuff going on. I think that I was looking at some numbers, have been looking at some numbers ever since February, but you know, eyes starting to roll back in my head from all the data and statistics and so on. But people want to know what's going on in their backyard, and they want to do staycations, or they don't. You know, the trend in travel right now is to stay within 300 miles of their home and drive. People aren't real excited about flying now, although I think I've flown 4 or 5 times since June. But the fact of the matter is that's safe as well. But the RP Funding Center, when these events come in, you know, we talked about a little of the protocol, and you know, staff's going to ensure and politely remind people that, hey, it's not just about you, it's about everyone else. So please abide by the guidelines that we have set out. But there's a couple of events that I know both Neal and I would like to talk about. One is Collectorama, because I'm not really sure what that is. The name intrigued me. Tell us about that one.
Well, I would say it's everything that's in your closet that you want to get rid of and don't know what to do with. But that expression about someone's junk is another man's treasure, and it's everything from coins to baseball cards to artifacts to comic books to magazines, anything that literally that people collect, you'll find it at this show. Just the few things I named, but it's far more extensive than that. And these dealers know everything about anything that's collectible. You'll find it at this show,
including dust.
That's right. Well, that's the 19th and 21st of November, but the one I got excited to see was, with everything that's been going on in 2020, it's hard to believe, that it's almost October,
right.
But when you get to October, you start thinking about the holiday season, and it kind of feels like we need a little holiday season, and if nothing else, to get rid of 2020. But you have the United Way Holiday Tree Contest. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, this is a fundraiser that the city goes in bed, so to speak, with United Way, and what it is we purchase trees that we line the hallways or the concourses of the RP Funding Center, and we offer corporate sponsors as well as the city departments the ability to decorate their own tree in their own motif and their own theme, and the building will be open during these holiday hours for people to come and exhibit and see the trees. And in return, hopefully in the end, they'll find it worthy that they'll make a donation on behalf of United Way for the trees that they see on their way out. So it could be a dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen different trees that'll be lining the hallways of the RP Funding Center in a variety of manners and themes and motifs that are all subject to the owner of the tree.
That's great.
Scott, couple of things. First of all, this ties to what I was going to originally ask, and that is the Central Florida Wheels of Steel. That the last time that was held, it was held in the summertime, but because of the COVID situation, we have a transplanted event. So it moved from, I believe it was June to December. Mm-hmm. And kind of a unique idea. A lot of people had a lot of fun at it last year. It takes place December 5th through the 6th. How many, and that's just an example, but it's all about motorcycles.
Right.
Okay, so if you're interested in motorcycles, make sure you check this one out because it is really pretty cool. How many of the events that you had originally booked have you successfully replaced or moved, I should say would be a better word, to another time of the year? It has to be pretty significant.
It is, and we're fortunate that we've been able to. Remember, on our side of the business, we have the meeting convention side, and then we have the ticket and entertainment side. Mm-hmm. And we've been able to happily find a means to satisfy both sides of those type of events, and we've been able to reschedule. There's going to be an abundance, not just here in Lakeland, but everywhere now from an entertainment standpoint. There's going to be an abundant events that got moved to different time frames and the marketplace is going to be crowded for entertainment when we all get back.
Well, I think the City Commission, the citizens of not only Lakeland but Polk County should be eternally grateful. It wasn't business that was lost. It was business that just moved to a different month, different time of the year, and business wasn't lost. We didn't lose that. We just moved it, or you just moved it, but successfully so. So kudos to you. Definitely, Tony is phenomenal as the director. He's a great leader, and of course the City Commission supports that. And it's an important economic engine for this county and for the city of Lakeland. Certainly couldn't do without you guys.
Well, we can't do without your help either, so thank you.
You're very welcome. Scott, thanks so much for joining us. Greatly appreciate it. And looking forward to checking out some of these events coming up here in the next few weeks.
Thank you.
Well, just one of the largest events that takes place in our own backyard. It doesn't really just happen. It doesn't take place. This is an event called the Florida Runners Invitational. It's the largest cross-country event in the state of Florida. The guy that started that was a former intern of Polk County Sports Marketing that went on to create this event and create other events throughout the state and throughout the country. But it's located at Holloway Park, and I don't have the date right in front of me. We will get that for you. But we have some great footage of some of the best cross-country runners from the Southeast and even the country right here in Polk County at Holloway Park. Check it out, everybody. Neal and Mark, we'll be back right after this.
The course will be open for warm-up until 3:20, 10 minutes before the beginning of our very first event. That is the boys JV Holy
This is the 20th annual Florida Runners Invitational here at Holloway Park. It's a big event for all cross-country athletes out here all over the state. About 5,000 athletes, 200 teams from all over the state coming together to run on the notoriously difficult Holloway Park course here in Polk County. The company I work for, Flow Sports, we put on this event 20 years ago. The founder of FloridaRunners.com, Jason Byrne, he started this event with the pure intentions of giving, an event for athletes to really come and enjoy and remember for years to come. So as the editor for Florida Runners, it's awesome to see these athletes, cover them, take photos of them, and get their interviews, really let them cherish the moment that they're having here.
Started the event years ago in Winter Haven and partnered with Polk County Sports Marketing on that first 3 years. Back then I was Polk County Community College. We had 450 athletes the first year, up to 4,500 this year. So 10 times where we started. So obviously it's getting bigger and better every year, and kids have a blast. And that's the important thing. They had fun the first year and they have fun in year 20. I love Holloway Park. I was part of some of the people who originally came out here when it was nothing but a grass field. And from that day, walking with Ed Holloway and Mark and some of the other folks around here, we saw the potential. And so, for many years we were over in Titusville, and I kept my eye on Holloway because I knew one day it was going to be ready and it was going to be one of the premier cross-country courses in the country. And it is that today. And I love it. I've loved to see the evolution, and it's going to just be better every year.
It's tough because it's a true cross-country course. There's no asphalt or concrete. It's pure hills and sand, even some tree branches mixed in there. It's groomed to be one of the best courses in the state of Florida.
Yeah, this course, Holloway Park, it's very challenging. You got the roller coaster hills beyond, and quite a few tight turns. These guys definitely want to take the corners right, but for the most part, again, it's a challenging, true 5K. I like to say it's probably one of the truest courses in the state of Florida. So they're getting that full competition here.
It's not every day that you have an event, not only this large, but this impactful in the community to be in your community. You're getting to see athletes from all ages and really put their heart and soul out into something that they do. If you're at a community like this, it's something that's moving, and it's something that will inspire you to maybe get involved. But it's something to be a part of within the community to celebrate these kids and to celebrate their efforts that they're putting in every day.
impact that this meet has for Polk County is huge. I mean, we are centrally located in the state, so anytime that we can host a major event like this, especially in the running world, just really, I think it preaches to how proud Polk County is and what we can do for major events like this. So, you know, anytime we're bringing in thousands of people, it's great for the city, great for the county itself. We're filling hotels and just showing people what Polk County has to offer here in Lakeland. So, Holloway Park is bringing major events, and we want to continue to do that.
I think that we want to grow the event. We'd love to see more out-of-state teams come in. We'd love to keep growing the college and middle school divisions. We've seen how Flyra has blown up the other event here at Holloway, and you know, we want to keep that momentum going with this event. And I think we can get to 6,000 runners, and I'd love to see that in the next couple of years.
Everybody, and welcome back to Sports Central segment number 2 with Mark Jackson, along with my co-host, Mr. Neal Duncan, who likes pumpkins.
I have no idea what that means, but this segment brought to us by Days in Lakeland. Of course, some great footage there. That's footage of last year's Florida Runners event, and then this year's is coming up this next weekend, September 25th and 26th. So there at Holloway Park, which the beautiful thing about that facility is there's plenty of room for all those things.
Yeah,
and
people spread out and all that type
absolutely.
of stuff. I'm just not a runner. You know, in high school, yeah, I ran 100. At the time was 220, and some other stuff. You know, I'd rather poke myself in the hand with a fork for 30 minutes than have to run for 30 minutes. I couldn't stand it.
But we appreciate all you runners out there.
Yes, we do. It's just not. There's certain things.
I agree.
Some people love to run, and God bless them, because I think it's an enormous amount of skill, strategy. And when you get the best of the best here in Polk County for that type, I'm impressed.
Well, and that facility is one of the top in the state of Florida, and
if not the top,
and gives us a recruiting advantage in bringing in these high-level events. So
yeah. Well, speaking of high level, we've got a high-level guy coming up next. You know, and it's just hard to believe that this guy can.
Oh, you mean Coach Scott?
Here we go.
19 years at Webber College, 16 in the coaching ranks there. An impressive record, but Neal, you know, you're so involved with football with your son Logan and the city of Bartow or Bartow High School and so on and so forth. I know you're just chomping at the bit. You have been all day to get old.
You know the fall is my
Kelly
fate.
Scott, a.k.a. Scott Kelly.
You did that, not me.
Yeah.
Coach Scott, of course, head football coach at Webber International University. Welcome back to Sports Central.
Thank you. It's nice to
I
be here.
welcome the ridicule that usually comes my way from you, so I thought I would start off the festivities.
Well deserved, by the way.
I didn't say it wasn't, but Coach, obviously a different time. That can be said prior to any conversation anywhere right now. But playing football. Played your first game last week. We want to talk about that. But let's first talk about, I know you and I have talked offline about, I hate to use the word the struggles, just the things that coaches are having to do to get to Saturdays.
Well, you know, we have to have distancing in the locker room. You know, been doing this over 40 years, and you call your team together at the end of the practice to talk to them. Well, you can't do that anymore. It's not social distancing, so they got to be spread out.
Yeah.
So communication has been a problem. Just worrying about the kids. I mean, I love the game. I'm like you. I love the fall. But boy, to think that I'd put a young man's health in jeopardy because of this game, I wouldn't feel real good about that now. But we're making it. And we've had one case when we first came in. Since then, we've been clean. So feel real good about what we're trying to do.
Well, with all those measures in place and without belaboring those points, because obviously there's protocols that have been set by the conference, there's protocols that have been set by the university, and all following CDC guidelines. But talking about football, something that we can all smile about, talking about the game. I know we have historically in this conversation talked about the recruiting hotbed that is Polk County. You don't have to drive far to find talent. We certainly can talk about that. I know you and I were at a football game last year, and the absolute downpour, Winter Haven High School versus Bartow, where about a quarter in the game you're like, well, you have to stay, but I don't have to, so I'll see you later.
I watch the film.
But that's right, you can watch the film. But talk about this year's team and if there's any connections to Polk County and kind of where you're going this year.
Yeah, I think we've got 3 young men from Winter Haven. We have a couple from Victory Christian, one from Bartow. So we've got a pretty good mix in the county. You know, a lot of times when you're recruiting, you find out that a kid from Polk County kind of wants to get away from Polk County for a little bit. It seems like we have a little more coming back after they've went away and say, hey, you know, maybe Polk County ain't that dang bad. Huh? Maybe I want to be near home. So that is a challenge because every 18-year-old, you know, they want to get away.
Sure.
And so that's a challenge in recruiting for us, but it seems like they tend to come back to us in time.
Well, I'm sorry.
No.
Well, the schedule is different this year.
Yeah.
I know you started with a rivalry game right off the bat, but you're going to play them again.
Yeah, we're going to play them again, which has been kind of a neat thing. We had to get games, and I think what the initial thought was, let's stay in state. So all of our games are in state, cuts down the travel, cuts down the hotel rooms, but it gives our guys a chance to play. So the first 2 games, we actually end up playing both these teams again later in the season, a chance to kind of get your team together. And you'll never understand the mindset of our young people. They've been locked with mom and dad for 6 months. I think they were just happy to be on campus and get back to some sense of normal for them as a college student.
Yeah.
So it's completely different than what we put up with in the past.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of, you know, we talked a little bit about the protocol when, you know, you have to dress the team, you have to social distance, it's not as intimate as it, you know, once was, where you can get everybody in there, that energy starts cranking up, and, you know, with your enthusiasm, it's not a hard thing to do. But now, you know, even in the weight room, these guys, do you have protocol there too?
Yeah,
or?
there's limits. I think we're allowed 30 in the weight room at a time.
Right.
When you got 150 guys, that means your strength coach is doing a lot of rotations there, you know, wiping down. It extends that weight room time from what used to be you could get done in 2 hours is now taking you about 6 to get everybody through. So that is in itself is a real pain in the.
Yeah.
You figure out where that's at.
Right.
Pain in the hand with a fork, right?
I was trying to help Neal out there a little bit.
He needs all the help he can get, believe me.
Well, we played the first game this past weekend, and we talked about the rivalry game, Warner versus Webber, on the short end of the first game, 24-17, but just automatically showing that's a rivalry game. Whether it was the first game or the last game, it's a 7-point ball game. And of course, we're going to be able to talk to your counterpart in our next segment, and maybe we hear a little bit of a different version of that game. I don't know, but great game.
Well, it was good until the second half. We kind of got away from our things that we were doing and made a few errors that we shouldn't have made. And I think both teams did. I think the first game of the season, everybody has some problems. It'll be interesting to see how teams develop over the next couple of months. We're kind of excited to play. That's what it's all about.
Well, I was actually going to ask you about that because, you know, with limited or no springtime, with lack of practice and things like that, are you finding the play to be even more sloppy right now than it would be this time in a quote-unquote regular
Yeah, I think we're seeing that at all levels right now.
Right.
You know, you're trying to avoid a lot of close face-to-face, so probably tackling's not as good. Line play I don't think is as good right now anywhere in the nation. So we got some way to go.
It's for sure true in Tallahassee.
Yeah, well, but you think about it, the biggest thing for me is worrying about kids' injuries. They haven't been in the weight room for 6 months.
Right.
Their bodies are not where they were this time in last February or November. So now we've got to kind of slow things down and really work with our young men to make sure we're not putting them in harm's way.
Well, that's a rough road to hoe, but, you know, the thing is, it's a level playing field.
Yes.
You know, so, you know, maybe a little bit more natural talent comes out versus the hard, as much as the, you know, what I like to say called traditionally hard work, where, you know, some guys just, and they hit the weight room every day, and they're you know, really adamant about sticking to a regime that polishes their skills, while other guys just a little more natural that way. So, you know, how does that all work out? I don't know, but you were 7-3, your best record in school history, I believe, was last year, right?
No, it'd been 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 years, 3 years ago. Yeah.
So, you know,
Hey,
you
when
started
you've
out
been
or
doing this
something
as
like
long as I have, them years run together really bad.
Yeah. So that's, you know, that was pretty impressive. You know, coming back, a little bit in a hole right now with one, but you got a game coming up this weekend.
We played Kaiser down there. I think Kaiser was in the top 10 in the nation last year. Really good football team. It's going to be very interesting. There's some things that we think we could take advantage of, which that's kind of our goal. Going to try to get to the fourth quarter, a chance to win it. That's all we can do, get a chance to win. And you know, you talked about a rough road. Yeah, it's a rough road, but shoot, we're on the dang road.
Yeah.
This time last, you know, a month ago, I wasn't sure we were going to be on the road, so I'm real happy about just being there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Well, that's pretty impressive. And that game's on Saturday, the 19th,
Saturday at
right?
5 o'clock.
Okay.
Down in West Palm Beach. Don't worry, no fans are allowed.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, everybody's limiting fans, and that's another thing.
What about
That's-
here? What about it?
Well, I think they limited to 90 last week, and I don't think Warner was even allowed to bring anybody. So it's really a different.
I was just getting ready to ask, how obviously it's different.
Well,
But
you know what?
the
It's
experience.
a funny thing about when you're coaching. I'll just kick this thing all over the place now. when you're coaching and playing, the stands can create some energy, but that's not why you're there. It's between the white lines. So we still got the white lines. They're in the same place. So we're just going to keep on playing. Just a different world right now. Let's get back to that one we used to have. How about that?
It's the same game and it's the same dimensions. It's the same for everybody. So how do we take advantage of that? Home schedule this year. Are Webber going to allow more people this year? Or excuse me, more than 90? Are you going to,
Boy, you just
what
try,
does it look
you,
like?
You try to get me to say things that's going to get my butt in trouble, aren't you?
No, that's Neal's job.
We're hoping so.
Yeah.
We really are. I think the first game went pretty smoothly. I don't think there was any problems. So I'm hoping that we can increase the number. You know, my biggest thing is love fans, but you'll understand this. I feel like I got to get my parents there because them parents want to see those boys play.
Yeah.
And that's my number one concern right now is making sure
Well, the
the
spectators
parents can see it.
That should be the easiest of all. I mean, you've got two teams. You've got, you know, a bunch of guys that are going at it face to face, close contact. But the fans, you can social distance those. So, you know, what's the magic number? Why isn't it 91? Why isn't it 191? Because you can literally space these people out, and there's been other events that have done that. And you can get reasonable numbers, even Florida State.
Did they have fans?
They shouldn't have.
Did they win last weekend?
No, they did not.
Who did they play?
Georgia Tech.
Really? And they got beat. But they had people in the stands, so kudos to Florida State. Unlike Wisconsin Badgers, they didn't even play a game. He ain't going to take the bait.
I'm like
He
you,
is
Coach.
not
I'm
going to take the bait.
Well, we talk about the home games and things like that. Have a field on campus now.
Yes. Yeah, we had put a new turf field in, and it is really nice. Really happy with it. We did not use the rubber as the infill. It's a mixture of coconut and pine.
Really?
And find out what my reasoning was is, boy, it gets hot here in Central Florida if you haven't been here in August and September.
A little bit.
And that rubber fill holds heat. We're probably about when we bulb tested, about 3 degrees warmer than natural grass. And it's got a good feel. I think that most people have played on said, yeah, it really is a good field to play on. So
Actually, wood chips is what it is.
it's actually wood chips if you want to get right down to it.
Wow.
They started doing these with cork, and they found cork floated with the rain.
Right.
I think the Rowdies over here went to the same infill that we're using right now.
Well, we certainly wish you the best of luck, and I mean that. You
I-
know
I-
I mean
I
that.
know
you
you
know
mean
I
that,
mean
Neal.
that, Coach. But
You know, if I get guys to get my name right, shoot, I got this thing whipped. Boom, over the bow.
All righty, let's see. Coming up next. All right. Hey, thanks so much for joining us. We
Thank you
really
very much.
appreciate it. Best of luck this weekend for the rest of the season. You guys are fun to watch. You know, great organization. You've done a remarkable job there, and Polk County is proud, should be proud of you. So, thank you.
Well, we're proud to be part of Polk County.
Well,
You guys do a great
it's
job.
Feelings mutual. All right, everybody. Well, the Elite Cable Park is one of our newest sports infrastructure additions. Boy, that was kind of a bunch of words there.
plethora of words.
Plethora of words. at the south end of Lake Myrtle. It's one of just a few in the United States, at least at this caliber, and it's run by Action Water Parks, which is part of the Correct Craft Marine Company, ski nautique boat company, but it's one of their divisions. It's really fun. They've got a great restaurant there called Tantrums. You don't even have to, be a water skier. They'll teach you. They have a guaranteed learn to get up program and all sorts of other things. Instead of me talking about it, let's go to the footage from the Elite Cable Park in Auburndale, Florida. Neal and Mark will be back right after this.
Thank you for being sweet.
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 When you follow the 5 safety steps to slow the spread of COVID-19, you're not only protecting yourself, but you're protecting the heart and soul of Polk County, Florida's sweetest spot.
Welcome back, everybody. Segment number 3 of Sports Central. Sitting here with Mr. Neal Duncan. I'm Mark Jackson. If you're just joining us, if you are just joining us, shame on you because we've had a great show so far. Talked about the RP Funding Center and all the stuff that's going on there. And of course, Kelly Scott, AKA Scott Kelly, from Webber University joined us a little bit earlier and talked about their football program, of course, the head coach. But Mr. Duncan, we have something to communicate.
Yeah, we want to, speaking of communicate, Hall Communications, the segment sponsor for this segment of Sports Central, and great partners of tourism sports marketing between 97.5, Max 98.3, WLKF, 1430, and also Talk 96.7.
And our Sports Central radio show.
Yeah, Thursdays from 5 to 6 p.m.
Yeah. I even heard that our director here is the host there frequently, Mackenzie Richardson.
She is a co-host, that's right. Sam Baker and Mackenzie, and they do a great job.
Yeah, well. Go right ahead, Mr. Duncan.
Well, we talked about in our second segment college football, and we're talking about Webber, and now we're going to talk about Warner. And head coach Kirk Talley is here. And coach, second season, second time on Sports Central. Welcome back. And,
yeah, thank you. Appreciate it, Neal.
Absolutely. Well, you were in here earlier. We kept you and Coach Scott, distance from each other, and
right. We kept our social distance.
That's right.
That's for sure.
Obviously, it's a brotherhood, if you will, in the coaching ranks, and so there's a lot of synergies, and on the field. That goes away for a little while,
yeah,
but off
for a
the
couple
field,
hours, yeah.
In talking about the current situation and really being able to bounce ideas off of each other and how to create best practices for running this season in the environment we're in. Talk about that a little bit, how you've relied on other coaches and basically how things are going at Warner.
Yeah, certainly from the AFCA and our executive director, American Football Coaches Association, he came out with some recommendations after he talked to doctors and so on and so forth, and then certainly talking to other coaches from that perspective and trying to gain an understanding of what other teams were doing and have been doing and continue to do. And so yeah, it's a little bit of a different world, but yeah, as you said, this is a fraternity, I guess, of coaches that are together, and certainly some coaches will turn that off come game day. I'm not necessarily that way. We don't take that approach at Warner, but there's nothing wrong with that either. So
just a little competitiveness, and we talked to Coach Scott about how weird was it to kick off the season with a rival and knowing you're going to play them again.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. When the schedule came out, it's like, oh, we're playing Webber the first game of the year. That's interesting how they did that. I don't know. I didn't ask how they made those decisions. And then for Webber, I just saw it's their last game of the year than when we play, but we'll still have another game. We play St. Thomas the last game of the year. So it's a little unique situation, and but that's what makes it fun, the challenge.
Yeah. Well, Coach, you came from Northwestern up in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and had a pretty impressive run up there, pretty impressive record. The difference between playing in the Midwest, now playing in the South. Give us some examples.
Yeah. First of all, it's quite different. The approach that coaches take, you got year-long practices from a perspective of we can start spring ball in February. We couldn't do that in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Now they are doing it because of, this year in COVID, they are probably going to do some crazy stuff like that. It'll be probably indoors, but that would be one thing. And certainly everybody talks about it. Since I got into coaching in the early 80s, the speed of the athletes in Florida, it's quite unique. And so that's another thing that's certainly different about the Midwest versus coming down south here.
Well, almost like the Big Ten. You've got Wisconsin that has the biggest, Wisconsin Badgers have the biggest offensive line in college football and bigger than all the pros. You know,
Sure.
these guys are monsters.
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe not quite the speed as a Florida State or, you know, Florida or some of these other SEC teams. So it's always an interesting matchup to see how they figure, okay, we're going to do this. It's a little bit similar, I would imagine, here.
And you know, with Warner, 95% of our athletes, student athletes, are from the state of Florida. You know, we have a few from Polk County. Love to get more. But as Coach Scott said, you know, a lot of times these guys want to get out of Dodge, right? They want to try somewhere else, and so it's fine. We'll just keep recruiting around us and kids in the state of Florida, and so.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you talk about competition, and you look at, you know, we remember when Webber was the first one out of the gate and creating football, and now you've got three colleges, universities in Polk County that are playing football. So coming in and seeing that and how it is in Polk County, talk about, I know I'm not looking for you to talk about other programs,
right,
but really the ability to have two other programs in the county, so that's got to help with, hey, look at everything we have here in our area.
Right, and you know, going right to the kind of the crazy schedule that we have, I thought for sure that we would be playing Webber twice and Southeastern twice. Because of that, I thought that, you know, that's a great matchup as far as I was concerned. You know, but for whatever reason, we're playing St. Thomas twice. But it is unique to have three schools all in the same county here playing NAI football, and it's kind of a cool deal. And so, you know, in a few weeks, our younger guys will be going over to Webber, and then a few weeks after that, they'll be coming over to our place. So it makes it really simple. We don't have to travel real far for our younger kids to get some competition as well.
Yeah, well, you know, one of the sad, there's many sad parts. One of the sad part about the whole thing is that when you limit the fans to like 90 people, you got two local teams like that. Those stands should be packed both sides.
Yeah,
you know, and that's a shame because you can still social distance, and you know, but that's not a panacea. You know, it's just not. So anyway, I can't say too much. I got to be quiet.
Well, let's go to. We got a few minutes left here. I want to hear your version of last week's game against Webber, and then maybe you know, we heard from Coach Scott a little bit sloppier than normal, but it's to be expected. And as Mark mentioned, that's true everywhere.
Well, I tell you what, though, they weren't very sloppy in their tackling from start to finish. You know. But he was right. I mean, it was kind of a tale of two games almost. The first half was really, you know, Webber, and you know, our kids did a good job of adjusting focus, or something happened there, and came out in that second half and played pretty well.
You had 3 touchdowns in a row, didn't you, or something like that in the second half?
Yeah. We've got at times can be an explosive offense. Certainly. You know, Webber's defense did a tremendous job on Saturday, shutting us down that first half. So,
is it tougher to get the offense up to speed, or is it tougher, do you think, to get the defense up to speed? Because I mean, with a limited, you know, training.
Yeah, traditionally, to me, it's sort of been the defense is usually ahead of the offense, especially really early on in camp. Right. I don't know if that's what happened on Saturday or not, who knows, but certainly their defense was ready to play football and our offense wasn't, and you know, our defense turned it around in the second half a little bit, and so it's a great challenge, and guess what, we got to do it again here with Webber.
If I'm correct, looking at the schedule, you're off this weekend, and then you're at Ave Maria on the 26th before coming home and taking on St. Thomas for the first time this season. So you get 2 weeks to make adjustments before your next game. Do you like that, or do you want to keep playing and
you know, you take advantage of what you're given, and you know, we tried to do the best we could this week. Yesterday, we just had fun in practice. I mean, we got better at a few things, I think, but we had a lot of fun in practice. We're playing some touch football, and defense was playing 3-on-3 with the quarterbacks being the coaches and stuff like that. So
got to keep it fun.
Yeah, you play the game because it's fun, right? You know, there is a lot of hard work involved, but if you're not having fun, then why play?
Yeah, exactly, especially right now.
It's like golf. The same thing with golf. You know, if you're out there, you've got to shoot your 10 handicap every time you go out, or whatever your 32 handicap is. You know, you're going to be miserable. You know, go out and play and have fun. If you want to throw down another ball, you're not in a tournament. Throw down another ball.
Were you pointing at me? Was that what that was?
Of course not, Mr. Duncan.
You
I
gave me a
wouldn't do
32. I was happy with that.
Yeah. Anyway, Coach, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate
Best
it.
of luck this season for the rest, this weekend, and then for the rest of the season as well. It's really fun to watch you guys go at it, you and Webber, but we are impressed with your skills and what you've done with this football team at Warner. Pretty impressive. So thank you. Well, wrestling isn't a sport that really took place this last year. Well, at least for a part it did, but it then got shut down. And I was a high school wrestler and all of that type of stuff. Of course, from Wisconsin, where wrestling is big. But we have some special footage of a guy by the name of Raul Soto, and he's from Lake Gibson, the Lake Gibson Braves. The guy's impressive. You need to check this out. One of our sport athletes.
Yep.
Up and coming. Check him out. Raul Soto from the Lake Gibson Braves. Mark and Neal will be back. Stick around, everyone.
I'm Raul Soto. I'm in the 11th grade, and I wrestle for Lake Gibson. I started in 8th grade. My dad worked with Coach Walk, actually, and my dad was a boxer, and he likes contact sports. So I was playing football at the time, but I tried something different, and I just kind of fell in love with the sport. Getting into the sport was like tough, because I was kind of better at football, you know, and it's more team-based. But as a wrestler, I was getting beat up. It's just getting beat up every day. It kind of sucked. I didn't like it, but I just stuck with it, and then, you know, you get better. Practice makes perfect. There's so much technique to wrestling. I've been wrestling for a few years and my technique's not perfect. But I think you gotta be mentally tough. You gotta really have a grind. You gotta grind. During practice would be the time where I prepare myself. I go in there with the mindset that I gotta get better. I go work hard as I can, and it pays off on the mat. And I go into the mat knowing I did everything I can. So what happens, happens. You gotta have like heart. You gotta have passion. You gotta have passion for the sport. You gotta have heart, like the eye of the tiger type, you know, like Rocky, you know, you gotta be tough. You gotta be mentally tough. You gotta want it. That's what I think you have to do. When I first started, not being as good as the people in our room, because our room's like always been pretty good. I've wrestled and got beat up by like so many like better kids, older kids, because I came here when I was younger. I think that really like, it plays in the mind, like getting beat up by everyone, kind of like you get in your head a little bit, but you just gotta push through it. And I think that was a big obstacle, just to be mentally tough. It helped me a lot, actually. It's became me more of a man. I had a time management. I feel like it helps because you put a lot of time in there. You gotta have time. Like you gotta sacrifice, and it kind of prepares you just to take another step into the door. Because you know, you gotta, in life, you're gonna face obstacles, and you just gotta push through them. And I think wrestling has taught me that a lot. People think wrestling is more of an individual sport, but I think it's more of a team because there's days you don't want to work hard and you need a teammate to push you. And then I think that's a big misconception about wrestling is like, it's not just, it's an individual sport, but you need a team. We're really close. Like, when one's down, we pick them up, we talk to them, tell them what they can do better. When they're doing bad, we tell them, you know, we just there. Kind of like we're brothers. It's like a family. We fight, we argue, but we love each other at the end of the day, and we all tell you how it is. I want to go to college. I want to get a major in accounting. So that's my goal in wrestling college.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Segment number 4, Sports Central. Mark Jackson along with Mr. Neal Duncan.
Yes, sir. This segment brought to us by the Trophy Shop, great partner of tourism and sports marketing, and they do a fantastic job, so we really appreciate them.
Yeah. Well, there is one sport, wrestling, and Raul showed us state champions, and that was fantastic stuff. But unfortunately, high school sports got cut off,
Yeah,
and
the spring sports.
they snuck it in, but the others didn't. So
yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully they'll be back next year and get another state champion. So.
Well, we've had a lot of them here in Polk County. We're blessed with the athletes and the coaches and the administrations and schools and school board, all those folks that come together that make up our high school sports.
Well, the Lightning, speaking of champions, the Lightning are heading to the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Wow, pretty impressive.
Last night they won Game 6, and now they're headed to, I believe it's their 3rd Stanley Cup championship finals there. And the first time since 2015, and it feels like forever since they won the Stanley Cup way back when. But exciting stuff.
Playing the Dallas Stars. I don't think they've ever been in the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
have they?
Dallas Stars. I think they have, but it's been a day or two.
Yeah,
It's been a while.
Well, so, moving right along, the Tampa Bay Rays, 2.5 games or 3 games ahead of the Yankees.
More importantly, already secured a playoff spot.
Yeah.
So they're going to be in the playoffs. Of course, it's all different. Shortened season, 60 games, but the Rays are still in first place in the American League East. So good for the Lightning, good for the Rays.
All good.
And then the Bucks. Go out and get Tom Brady and a whole bunch
and
of
Gronkowski and spend all this money and so on and so forth.
0-1.
Yeah. What did they get beat? 43-34?
Yeah, it was close.
It was close.
A couple of mistakes by Tom Brady. I think this team again hasn't been able to work together. They'll get to where they start gelling, and I think they'll be fine.
And you've got Drew Brees on the other side of the line.
The Saints were quite good.
Yeah.
So it's not like they were playing just nobody.
Yeah.
It's not like it was the Packers.
Well, oh, jeez. The Vikings. They played the Vikings.
So the Tampa Bay Bucks 0-1, but
you're not taking it either, are you?
Nope.
Well, there has been a tremendous amount of stuff going on in Polk County as well in terms of entertainment. We talked with Scott Sloman about the RP Funding Center, what's coming up. So we're excited about that. Don't forget the Lakeland VW Classic, largest VW event in the United States, right here in Polk County at the Lakeland Center outside. So 1,000 cars.
Great event, absolute great event. And
he does so much for the
looking for
community.
something to go do, like you said, it's outside. So many to see, social distancing and all that. But we've got some partners we want to thank: Abuelos, BSN Sports, Hampton Inn, Lakeside Village, People's Barbecue, and of course the Hilton Garden Inn, just some of the partners that make this show possible.
Well, and we got to throw Under Armour in there as well, because hats off to Under Armour for their support of the U.S. military and good, solid causes that they stand up for, and I'm proud of Under Armour.
Our partnership,
Great partnership. It's a very, very good one. Well, everybody, don't forget our next live show is going to be October 9th. Hard to believe. Right around the corner, October 9th. And we're excited about it. Hope you are too. Have some very special guests. So don't forget about our radio show on WLKF, and it is 1430 AM and
96.7 FM.
It's really an exciting show. 5 to 6 drive time. It's one of the most popular shows in Central Florida. Like, yes, all of Central Florida. In fact, it was number 5 during drive time on Thursday evening. So we're real excited about that. Have some very special guests. And Neal, that's a good show.
That's a fantastic show, and we are proud to partner. Again, it was one of our segment sponsors earlier, Hall Communications, but Talk 1430, Talk 96.7, Thursdays from 5 to 6 p.m.
Very good. Well, everybody, thanks so much for joining us. Again, October 9th, our next show. This is Mark Jackson for PGTV and Neal Duncan. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again next time.